In the shadowy depths of Cold War espionage and classified government experiments, there exists a peculiar chapter in the history of US intelligence, a chapter where the limits of consciousness, perception, and ancient religious artifacts intertwined. Among the most extraordinary revelations to emerge from this period is the claim that the Central Intelligence Agency, through its once classified remote viewing program known as Project Sunstreak, may have uncovered the location of one of history's most mysterious and sacred relics, the Ark of the Covenant. Dated 1988, a declassified document from Project Sunstreak outlines the use of a psychic spy, known as a remote viewer, tasked with locating the Ark of the Covenant. Remote viewing, a technique once mocked and dismissed as pseudoscience, was quietly funded and studied by US intelligence for years, used in attempts to perceive locations, objects, or events inaccessible by conventional means. This method was born from the belief, supported by emerging theories in quantum physics, that consciousness is not bound by space or time. Rooted in the idea of non-local perception and the interconnectedness of all matter and energy, remote viewing posits that the human mind can traverse space, reaching targets thousands of miles away, by simply tuning into them mentally. According to the document, the remote viewer's task was straightforward but staggering in implication. Describe and locate the Ark of the Covenant. The viewer's report painted a vivid and almost cinematic picture of a mysterious container, fashioned of wood and overlaid with gold and silver. The form of the object was likened to a coffin, detailed with ornate seraphim, six-winged angelic beings described in ancient religious texts. The description matches historical and biblical accounts of the Ark, a sacred object said to have been built by Moses under divine instruction, used to carry the Ten Commandments and, allegedly, capable of supernatural feats ranging from stopping rivers to destroying armies. The viewer described not just the object, but its surroundings with an impressive degree of specificity. The Ark, the report stated, was located underground, hidden in a space that was dark and damp beneath the surface of a place somewhere in the Middle East. Visual cues observed during the session included mosque domes, Arabic-speaking individuals dressed in white, and buildings with a distinctly Middle Eastern architectural style. One particularly clear figure was described as a man with black hair, dark eyes, and a prominent moustache, suggesting a very specific and real-world context for what might otherwise be dismissed as pure imagination. The container's environment was described with atmospheric detail, underground and wet, perhaps hinting at a cave or buried chamber long forgotten. Yet it was not only the physical description that stirred intrigue, but the spiritual and metaphysical impressions the remote viewer sensed. The Ark's purpose, according to the viewer, was not simply historical or ceremonial. It was imbued with a deep significance, associated with resurrection, unity, memory, and homage. It represented a kind of spiritual technology, a transmitter of information and a vessel of historical knowledge far beyond modern understanding. What set this particular session apart from standard archaeological speculation was the claim that the Ark was protected, not by men, but by non-human entities. These beings, according to the viewer, were not merely symbolic. They were real and active in guarding the object, ensuring it would not be disturbed until a specific time predetermined by forces unknown. Only those authorized to do so, the report stated, could access the Ark. Attempts to force it open would result in immediate and fatal consequences for the violator, as protectors wielding a mysterious form of energy or power would intervene. Such a claim mirrored many religious traditions and myths surrounding the Ark, which long warned that improper handling could bring instant death. One of the most interesting aspects of the account lies in its tone, neither exaggerated nor overtly mystical. The viewer relayed information in straightforward language, adhering to the controlled procedures of military-grade remote viewing. There was no flamboyant storytelling or emotional embellishment. The object, its composition, the layered design, and the details of its surroundings were described with clinical clarity. The figure being remote viewed reported an inner container within the main container, an element that sparked theories about whether the Ark held not just the stone tablets of the Ten Commandments, but other unknown artifacts or relics. The CIA's interest in the Ark of the Covenant may strike some as outlandish, but during the height of Cold War-era psychic experimentation, such missions were not uncommon. From locating enemy missile bases to investigating potential alien artifacts, the use of psychic spies was an unconventional but surprisingly well-documented aspect of American intelligence operations. These programs were backed by research institutions such as SRI International and were at times supported by physicists and military officers who believed in the potential of the human mind to tap into a wider field of perception. While the 1988 document does not state a precise geographical coordinate for the Ark's location, many who have analyzed the report have speculated that the location described could be somewhere within or near Jerusalem, possibly beneath the Temple Mount or in a buried chamber near the Dead Sea. Other interpretations point to Petra, in Jordan, or even the Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion in Aksum, Ethiopia, a location already steeped in legends of housing the Ark. Yet, if the CIA's remote viewing session is to be taken at face value, the most accurate clue may lie not in traditional sites, but in a hidden location unmarked by conventional history, where mosque domes are visible, Arabic is spoken, and the desert conceals a powerful mystery. Skeptics have long debated the validity of remote viewing as a technique, citing inconsistent results and lack of empirical repeatability. However, supporters argue that the technique, when conducted under controlled conditions by trained individuals, has yielded information that could not have been otherwise known. The description of the Ark, its dual containers, the presence of seraphim, and the dire consequences for tampering all align with numerous religious accounts, particularly those in the Hebrew Bible and later mystical texts, which describe the Ark as a dangerous and holy vessel whose power should not be trifled with. Moreover, the inclusion of spiritual and informational components, suggesting that the Ark stores not just physical items, but metaphysical or even encoded knowledge, places the object in a category that bridges the sacred and the scientific. Some theorists have even proposed that the Ark may represent ancient technology capable of emitting energy or acting as a communication device. The idea that it could bring people together and be a conduit of divine information aligns with theories that posit the Ark was far more than a container. It was a symbol of covenant and a literal tool of interaction between humanity and the divine. The notion that such an object is protected by non-human intelligences further adds to the mystique. Were these entities described by the remote viewer literal guardians in some spiritual dimension, or could they be interpreted as advanced beings, possibly extraterrestrial, who placed the Ark and have been monitoring it ever since? The description of a power that can destroy those who try to open it improperly evokes images found in stories like those of the ancient Hebrew priest who died after touching the Ark, or the cinematic depiction in Raiders of the Lost Ark, a mythologized but strangely resonant vision. Perhaps the most haunting aspect of the entire viewing was the idea that the Ark cannot be opened until the time is deemed correct. This suggests a programmed moment, a prophetic convergence of circumstances when the Ark's true purpose will be revealed. The idea echoes eschatological themes found in Abrahamic religions, where the return of sacred objects accompanies a transformation of humanity or the arrival of a messianic age. Whether one interprets such ideas as religious prophecy or encoded myth, the implication is clear. The Ark is not lost. It is hidden, protected, and waiting. The CIA's interest in the Ark and its use of remote viewing may forever remain on the fringe of mainstream historical inquiry, but for those willing to explore the boundaries of perception and consciousness, the 1988 Project Sunstreak document offers more than just a glimpse of a forgotten artifact. It offers a narrative that challenges our understanding of history, spirituality, and the power of the human mind. For now, the Ark of the Covenant remains hidden, buried beneath sand, stone, or perhaps guarded by entities beyond our comprehension. But in a dimly lit room over 3 decades ago, one remote viewer may have brushed against its presence, not with their hands but with their mind, and revealed to the world that history's greatest treasure was never really gone. It was always just waiting to be seen. The Ark of the Covenant remains one of the most enduring and mysterious relics in the history of human civilization. Said to have been constructed under divine instruction during the Israelites' journey across the Sinai Desert, the Ark is more than just a sacred object. It is a symbol of divine power, judgment, and protection. According to biblical tradition, as the Israelites fled Egypt and wandered through the desert, Moses relayed God's direct command to construct a vessel that would house the tablets inscribed with the 10 Commandments. These tablets were not ordinary stone, but believed to be imbued with supernatural power, some even suggesting they were forged with gold from the Garden of Eden itself, representing the cosmic moral balance between good and evil. The physical specifications of the ark were detailed with extraordinary precision. God instructed the Israelites to build it from acacia wood, measuring approximately 3.75 feet in length and 2.25 feet in width, and then to overlay it entirely in gold, both inside and out. A cherub was to be placed atop the lid, its wings stretching upward to cast a sacred shadow over what became known as the mercy seat. To imagine a nomadic people wandering the harsh wilderness for 4 decades, building such an ornate and precise masterpiece from scratch, using rudimentary tools, seems a daunting, almost miraculous task. For this reason, tradition holds that God bestowed divine skill upon a single chosen craftsman, empowering him with the abilities necessary to complete the ark to exact specifications. Over time, the ark came to be seen as more than just a container for the 10 Commandments. It became a vessel of divine intervention. As the Israelites moved toward the land of Canaan, the ark supposedly aided them in supernatural ways. One of the most famous accounts tells of the ark halting the flow of the Jordan River, allowing the Israelites to cross its dry bed. In battle, it was believed to bring God's wrath upon their enemies, ensuring victory. However, its immense power was not without risk. When the ark was stolen by adversaries, legend has it that plagues, disease, and death followed the thieves, forcing them to return it. The ark's journey continued as the Israelites settled and established their society. After a time in Shiloh, the ark was moved by King David and later entrusted to his son Solomon, who placed it in the Holy of Holies within the first temple in Jerusalem. There, it remained until it vanished. Around 587 BC, during the Babylonian siege of Jerusalem, the ark disappeared from historical record. No definitive account of its fate was ever documented, and from that point forward, the Ark of the Covenant transitioned from a sacred artifact to a sacred mystery. Since then, scholars, theologians, and adventurers alike have speculated on the Ark's final resting place. One of the most compelling and widely accepted theories is that it resides in Ethiopia, specifically within the St. Mary of Zion Cathedral in Aksum. According to this belief, the Ark was taken to Ethiopia for safekeeping and remains there to this day, watched over by a single monk known as the Guardian. This individual devotes his life to protecting the Ark, and only he is permitted to view it. Despite the cathedral's claims, no independent verification or scientific examination has been allowed, leaving scholars and believers to rely on faith, oral tradition, and circumstantial evidence. Other theories abound. The second book of Maccabees claims that the prophet Jeremiah hid the Ark in a cave on Mount Nebo, and that it would not be rediscovered until the time of God's choosing. According to this view, the Ark's reappearance would herald an era of divine mercy and spiritual awakening. Some theologians maintain that the Ark will be revealed only with the arrival of the Messiah, a moment prophesied to coincide with the redemption of the righteous and the ushering in of a new divine age. Others take a more apocalyptic approach, suggesting the Ark will only return during the final days of the world, serving as a celestial sign of God's final judgment.